What is going on, y'all? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Here in today's video, I will be giving my thoughts and a few takeaways from today's Baltimore Ravens versus Tennessee Titans matchup in the wild card round of the 2020-2021 playoffs. Um, before I get into the video, like I said in my previous few videos, it would really mean a lot if you guys could subscribe to my channel, and if you like this video, like it, and if you have any comments about it, leave a comment. I really appreciate all the comments and likes and stuff like that you guys give, and would really like it if you guys started commenting, kind of giving me your thoughts and maybe other ideas you wanted. But now getting into the video, you know, today the Baltimore Ravens actually upset the Tennessee Titans, I guess you could say. The Ravens were the 5 seed, the Tennessee Titans were the 4 seed. Some people will see it as an upset and some people won't. The Ravens were 3.5 point or 3 point favorite coming into the game, but they had to travel to Tennessee, and they were the 5 seed and took down the 4 seed, who won the AFC South, which was a tough game. And given the fact that rivalry, last year Tennessee came into Baltimore and took down the Ravens, who were the 1 seed overall in the playoffs, and it was definitely tough for the Ravens and Baltimore Ravens fans overall, just riding so hot, and Derrick Henry came to Baltimore and completely dominated them. But this year that was just not the case. In the offseason, the Ravens emphasized getting guys to stop the run game, especially Derrick Henry, because after the playoff game last year, Henry rushed for so many yards against the Ravens, and the Ravens wanted to make sure that they did not get beat on the run anymore. So they got guys like Calais Campbell, Derek Wolfe, guys to kind of set the tone for that defense. They already got a lot of good younger guys, but they wanted some vets and some guys with a lot of talent who maybe could help that defense. Now, earlier in the year, the Titans came to Baltimore and defeated them. All football fans know about that, with the Titans going out on the logo and meeting up before the game, and the Ravens coach John Harbaugh getting kind of pissed off. And that started a rivalry, and the Ravens lost, and it was kind of like the Ravens kind of got clowned for it. Letting somebody come onto your logo and do all that, and then losing the game. But in the playoffs, we saw something different. It kind of seemed like the Ravens took that to heart. The Ravens didn't come out ready to play, but ended up getting the win. To start off the game, the Ravens got a stop on the first drive, and then their offense was stopped as well. And then Tennessee went down the field and scored, got another stop, and then got a field goal. So they were up 10-0 at the end of the first quarter. But at the end of the first quarter, it really seemed like the play that kind of changed everything. It was 3rd and long, and Lamar got out of the pocket, made a play, threw the ball to Mark Andrews, who ended up getting the first down to kind of get the Ravens. I'm pretty sure that was Ravens' first down of the game. I'm not exactly sure, but that to me was kind of the game changer for the Ravens, just because that got them going a little bit more. And then after that, we saw the Ravens go down the field and ended up getting some points out of it. And then on the next drive, we saw the big Lamar run, which was the story of the day. Last time these two teams matched up in the playoffs and even earlier in the season, the narrative was kind of Derrick Henry running the ball all over the team. This year, the story was Lamar Jackson kind of running all over Tennessee. And on top of all of that, last year in the playoffs, when the Titans took down the Ravens in dominating fashion, we saw everybody say that the Titans had figured out the Ravens. They did what they needed to do to stop them. They stopped Lamar from running, and it was kind of like the complete opposite today. It seemed like the Ravens found out what they need to do to stop Tennessee, and only allowing Derrick Henry to score to have 40 rushing yards, which I'll get into later in the video. But and Lamar got his run game going. A lot of teams fans say stop the Ravens, you have to stop Lamar from running the ball, and that's it, because they say he can't throw. But I disagree with that. I think Lamar can throw the ball. That's not what he does. Like, yeah, that is what he does. That's not like his strong suit. Like, he's not the best at throwing, but he's a really good quarterback, and he can throw the ball. But obviously, he's a better runner just because nobody can tackle him in open field. That's what he does. He's not a true pocket passer. He gets out of the pocket and makes plays running or throwing outside of the pocket, like I just said with the Mark Andrews play. That's what Lamar does. That's where he makes plays. And even sometimes in the pocket, he dots up. Like he's just a really, really good quarterback, I believe. Not a lot of people like to hate. Not sure if it's just because he's good, why, but a lot of people like to hate on him, and I completely disagree with it. I think he's a really good quarterback and finally got all that, a little bit at least, because they'll still find a new narrative with him, but a little bit of that hate off his back with getting his first career postseason win today against the Titans. But now the next big takeaway from the game was, like I said before, stopping Derrick Henry. Coming into this game, a lot of people were saying to win the game, all the Ravens had to do is stop Derrick Henry, which I didn't agree with. Though that's a big part. Stopping Derrick Henry changed the entire game because all throughout the second half, the Ravens knew the pass was coming, and that really helped. But stopping Derrick Henry, like I said, a lot of people said that would have changed the game. But the first couple drives, Derrick Henry wasn't doing anything, and the Titans were up 10-0. Then going into halftime, it was 10-10 still. It was a tie game, but Derrick Henry wasn't doing anything. So clearly, I don't think just stopping Derrick Henry changed, or not changed the game. It definitely 100% changed the game, but that wasn't what won the Ravens the game. Marlon Humphrey came up huge. My biggest thing from this game was limiting big plays, whether that's in the run game or the passing game. That's what the Ravens have to do to win this game. And looking forward to next week against the Buffalo Bills, the Ravens got to do the exact same thing, limit big plays. But when you stop Derrick Henry, that changes everything because that Tennessee team, they thrive off of the play action pass. When Derrick Henry's having his way all game and then they beat you with the play action pass because everybody's expecting run. Today, it wasn't like that. Every time Derrick Henry got the ball, his longest rush was for 8 yards or something. That is not normal. The Ravens defense really showed up to play today. And early on, I think some people will be a little lost. Early on, I saw people saying Humphrey was getting burned or something in coverage. That wasn't the case. Humphrey was playing great coverage on AJ Brown all game. AJ Brown is one of the better wide receivers in the NFL as a whole, and AJ Brown's got the best of it. Tannehill made some great throws. AJ Brown made some really, really good catches, and even in the end zone, I'm not going to sit here and complain and say it was pass interference, but let's be real. I definitely think that could have been called for pass interference, but AJ Brown still made the play and made the catch. But throughout the game, we saw different guys going on AJ Brown. Kind of the Ravens' defensive scheme all game was good. We saw Peters on him sometimes. I didn't like seeing linebackers on him. It didn't make much sense. But the Ravens did switch some linebackers onto him sometimes. But while Humphrey was on him, it seemed like Humphrey was step by step with him most of the way. But like I said, big time players like AJ Brown are going to make good catches. And when you have a quarterback like Tannehill who was making some good throws at that point in the game, that was huge. So, like I said, the main point of this is a takeaway from this is not only was stopping Derrick Henry the big key of this game, but stopping and limiting the big plays in the passing game was a huge thing in this game for Baltimore. And Tennessee early on they were limiting a ton. They weren't really allowing much, but just a few Lamar runs changed this game, and that was the difference maker. And last year in the playoffs, what I most people see the stat line and see, Derrick Henry ran for all those yards and stuff. But looking back at that game, Derrick Henry had 3 long runs, and that changed the game. On Sunday, today, Lamar Jackson had a few big runs, and that changed the game. The touchdown run changed the entire game. Once Lamar and the Ravens scored that touchdown, all the momentum shifted. Everybody realized, all right, Lamar's doing what Lamar does. They're in trouble. And then coming out of the second half, the Ravens quick touchdown that changed the entire game. Lamar was looking great after the first quarter. A lot of people are going to criticize that pass, the deep pass that was intercepted. Terrible throw. That's what quarterbacks do though. They make mistakes. Lamar cleaned it up later in the game, and that's what most Ravens fans wanted to see. The next big thing that was really important for the Ravens to win this game was getting the ball to Marquise Brown, and the plays he made. All year we've seen a lot of critiquing him and a lot of people calling him out. And it seems like all year in big moments, Hollywood has shown up. for the Ravens to win this game, they were going to need some guys to step up, and he was definitely one of them, which he did. He had 100 plus receiving yards and really made big plays every time the Baltimore Ravens needed it. I could, off the top of my head, there was a numerous amount of second and longs. On first down, they would get a tackled in the backfield for a loss, and it would be 2nd and 11 or 2nd and 9. It was a lot of long downs, even on third down a few times, where Lamar hooked up with Hollywood for a big play. He had the over the shoulder throw, pretty good throw by Lamar, but even better catch by Hollywood, which put the Ravens in great field position. I believe they got a field goal out of that, but still, in the playoffs, points are points. Anytime you can get points, that's really needed, especially in a defensive game like this one. This was probably one of the best defensive games for the Ravens this year. It's not usual that we see a quarterback run for more yards than the other team's running back and pass for more yards than the other team's quarterback. So that was pretty incredible. But uh, the passing game was really motivated by Hollywood Brown and the plays he was making. And after the catch, the amount of yards he would get was just crazy. We see him go down and go out of bounds a lot to avoid hits, which is probably a good thing for someone his size. But he was making plays. He would catch it, make a couple guys miss, and even the one time, he caught a cramp. That was a huge play for the Ravens, putting them into what should have been field goal position. Justin Tucker missed a field goal, but got it back on the next drive. But Hollywood really stepped up for the Ravens in today's game, and that was needed for Baltimore to get past that first playoff game with Lamar winning. Like I said, Hollywood's in his sophomore year, so the Ravens really expected Hollywood to step up this year, and early on in the year they weren't getting as much as expected. The Ravens weren't really getting him the ball as much as a lot of people thought they should, and Hollywood was having some drops. But towards the end of the year, Hollywood has been great for the Ravens, and it exactly when the Ravens needed it to kind of make this push that they are making in the postseason right now. Um, and looking forward for the Ravens to next week, before I get into my next takeaway from this game, they are really going to need Marquise Hollywood Brown to step up against that Bills defense, because we know what the Bills have in the secondary. Tre'Davious White, who I'm guessing will be on Hollywood Brown, but the two safeties, Hyde and Poyer, are just two of probably the best duo of safeties in the NFL right now, or at least one of. They both can make a lot of plays, so we'll see how the Bills go about defending the Ravens. But yeah, just that was the big thing in this game, the way Hollywood played. Um, you know, we haven't seen a ton of Ravens wide receivers step up earlier in the year, and later in the year we're starting to see it. And Hollywood really stepped up in this game and helped kind of push the Ravens to get this win that they needed. My next takeaway from this game was, the Ravens, what the Ravens did when they went down 10-0. From watching this game last year, I wasn't expecting, but I really didn't know what to expect. But I thought we could have seen what we saw last year, where all year last year the Ravens thrived on the run, and once they went down 14-0 to the Titans, they started forcing the pass, which just wasn't smart, and tried to force Lamar to turn into a pocket passer, which, like I said before, is just not his game. He gets out of the pocket and makes great throws and makes plays. Forcing him to stay in the pocket all game and kind of getting away from what you do is not going to win you games. And I think that's why we saw the Ravens bury themselves last year. They were down 14 and decided, oh, we can't run the ball anymore, and just started throwing it way too much. And the Titans knew the pass was coming. We see the Ravens passing game thrive when the Titans guess, or other teams guess, run, and the Ravens end up throwing it. So when the Ravens went down 10-0, Greg Roman really called a good game from then on. He had some questionable play calls, inside the 10-yard line, or the 20-yard line, or the Ravens' own 20-yard line. We saw him run an option on 3rd and 4, up 4, up 7. I can't remember how much the Ravens were winning by, but it just didn't make a ton of sense. But other than that, looking at that game, Greg Roman really called a good game. And I think all Ravens fans and people watching that game need to give Greg Roman a lot of praise for the game he called, because we easily could have seen the Ravens try to force the pass way more, and after they went down 10-0 like they did last year, And if that would have happened, there could have been a different outcome. But this year in this playoff game, I think learning from last year, the Ravens didn't go away from what they do. Greg Roman stuck with the normal game plan, didn't force anything, ran the ball, did what the Ravens do, opened up the pass game from some of their runs, and that really ended up being the difference maker in this game. So looking at this on the outside, it was so important for the Ravens to stick to their game plan and stick to what they do to win games. Um, in a lot of Ravens games this year and in the playoff game against the Titans last year, the main cause for the loss, um, I wouldn't say the main cause for the loss, but a big reason for the loss is definitely the Ravens getting out of their game plan and what they do. The Ravens are a run first team, and it's very hard for a lot of teams to take that away. We really did see Tennessee kind of limiting it early, but the whole narrative of that first half changed on the Lamar touchdown run. Tennessee had been doing a good job up front, kind of limiting the Ravens' run, and they didn't have anybody drop into a spy on Lamar Jackson, and Jackson took off and had, I think, the second biggest or the second longest touchdown run by a quarterback in wildcard history. I'm not exactly sure on that, but that was just incredible to see. You know how the Ravens stayed with what they know works and not go away from it like we saw last year. So looking for that for the Ravens, that is how you win games. I'm hoping that they discover that and Greg Roman sticks by that throughout the rest of the postseason, however far they go, and kind of realize, all right, we got to stay with what our game plan is. We can't let other teams doing what they do affect what we run. And no matter what the deficit is, I mean, obviously you down a bunch of 5 touchdowns, you have to throw the ball, but a 2-score game, the Ravens run the ball and they can score touchdowns still. And then the second half, you know, there was some 7 minute touchdown drives that iced the clock and really pushed the Ravens forward. They took a 7 point lead and it took them 6 or 7 minutes. That is great to open a second half, that was just tied up, and that changes the whole game. Taking all that time off the clock just kills everything, kills momentum for another team, and gives your team momentum because you just took all that time off the clock and ended up getting 7 points. So looking forward in the playoffs, like I said before, the Ravens need to make sure they stick to their game plan and know that running the ball for them really, really works, and it always will. So yeah, like I said, I just think that was so important in the Ravens winning this game. And for my final takeaway from this game, this game looking forward into the next few years will be one of the best rivalries in football. Just these teams have a true hatred for each other, and we saw it. Um, after the final play of the game, or the final, I guess not the final play of the game, but the Titans' final play on offense. When Marcus Peters had the interception, we saw the whole Ravens defense run out to the logo and stomp and dance on the logo. And we all know what that was for. That was basically payback for when the Titans went out, like I said earlier, and I guess got ready for the game on the Ravens logo, which to Harbaugh and the Ravens was disrespect. But I like it. A lot of football people will say it's just classless or whatever. But first off and foremost, football is not a nice game. Um, so all that classless stuff, unless it's something dirty, gets pushed out the door. Football, it's not a nice game. You hit each other. I really, really love the fact that the Ravens went out there and kind of basically the pick sealed the game. I mean, they still had to get a few first downs, but that pick, once the Ravens got that pick, all the momentum was in the Ravens' hands, and there wasn't really much more of a chance for the Titans to win. So the Ravens all went out and celebrated on the logo, and like I said, that really excites football fans, and it kind of shows where this rivalry is at. Um, Last year, the Titans came in to Baltimore, like I said before, and dominated the Ravens. Derrick Henry had all those big runs and just ran all over the Ravens. And even their passing game, they didn't throw for a ton of yards. I think they only threw for like 85 yards. But Tannehill made some really big passes early on in the game that really just pushed the Ravens out and put them down 14-0. So that was really important. And they, after that game, celebrated, talked all the trash which is it's football, like I said, is good. And then that led to the rivalry during the regular season, which both teams were ready for, and the Titans came out in the logo and celebrated, which pissed the Ravens off, and the Ravens still lost that game. So then the Ravens go to Tennessee, take down the Titans, and celebrate on their logo. So looking forward into this rivalry and whenever the teams play next, it's so exciting just to see a new rivalry really evolving in the NFL. Every year it seems like we get one, and after the postseason last year, this one was kind of developing, but now like anybody who watched these three games knows this rivalry is really turning into a true hatred, and it'll be really exciting to see these teams play against each other in the future, as long as Lamar's around and Vrabel's the coach of the Titans and Harbaugh's the coach of the Ravens, because you know from the head coach's standpoint, you can tell Vrabel and Harbaugh have respect for each other. They probably don't like each other the most just because of everything that's going on with their teams, but you can tell they have respect for each other without a doubt. But when you look at it for the teams, both teams want to go out there and knock the other team out. And we've seen it, this year and last year in the playoffs. Last year the Ravens were eliminated at home. This year the Titans were eliminated at home. So I'm really excited to see what this rivalry, can kind of bring to the table in football for the rest of the year. So now that is it for this YouTube video. If you guys liked it, please leave a like, comment your thoughts on it, and a subscription would really mean a lot. I would really appreciate it. Like I said before, I got a lot of these videos coming out soon. All week I'll be dropping a ton of playoff videos. I really enjoy doing these. And I really want to hear your guys' thoughts. So if you guys don't mind, please leave a comment, a like if you enjoyed the video, and a subscription would really mean a lot. Look out for the next few videos in the next few days. I'm going to be dropping a bunch on all the teams in the playoffs. So thanks a lot, and come back next time.